Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just want to do a quick lesson, just some thoughts on, the Bible and what I see going on in the world and stuff like that. I'm going to entitle this video, The Biggest Competition to the Bible is Actually Its Biggest Asset, and I'll explain what I mean by that. But I've been kind of, off the radar a little bit just because I wasn't feeling well last week, and not this past weekend, but the one before. After a round of golf, I just started drinking, Coke while, the food was coming out at the restaurant. And then I should have known better this time of year, like when there's like, viruses and all that going around, people getting sick. I just, I was drinking Coke, and then that immediately lowers your immune system. I saw a statistic on that, like the first, can or two a person drinks, the immune system drops like 60% for the next like certain number of hours. And so I think that was the entryway, for this, whatever it was to win. And then I just was not feeling well last week. So, but I feel good now. I did start doing I started eating really healthy last week, and it's good. The one positive aspect I would say of getting sick, or getting a cold or any kind of head cold and stuff. For me, it mostly stayed in the head. It didn't really get to the lungs and excessive coughing and stuff like that, which I'm thankful for. But I started eating, healthy foods every day and stuff. And so that's one good thing. And I drank a lot of water, chicken soup and all that kind of stuff. So it was probably good for me to go through that anyway, net, but wasn't the most pleasant week last week. But I'm back feeling good. But I want to, or one thing I did do for those who ever go through something like that is I would drink warm water with, not like boiling water, but just warm, slightly above room temperature, and then put some turmeric powder in it and a bit of lime and cumin. And I would mix that up and drink that multiple times a day. And that's just really good. I should do that every day, even if I'm not sick. I got to get in a better habit of just starting the day off with that, because if my body experiences that first in the morning, I have a feeling it will prevent a lot of other issues overall. But that's just a tip that I think is a good idea to do anyway. So I just buy these little turmeric and cumin capsules off Amazon, and it's supposed to be really good for you. So, but I want to talk about the main competition to the Bible. To me, right now in these days, the main competition that I see that is truer than the Bible, and I say this respectfully, but I'm gonna make a point, is that it's the Bible's biggest asset. Is that the thing that I know that is true that no one can argue, is that there's a huge number of people, a majority of people, I would say, that are resistant or just completely against speaking out against the government. And I just sometimes do it just to test, the waters with different people. And it's just obvious, and it's scary because a lot of times it's religious people too. They should be the most sort of inclined to quote truth, speaking openly. But so that's not a conspiracy theory. That's not conjecture, hypothesis. That's not most of the time. I think this is the case. I know that this is the case. It's a fact. No one can argue that fact with me any longer. We can debate, the ball earth and the flat earth and all that. But I see the world through that lens now, because I have really no choice, because that's exactly what I experienced. And I've tested it many, many times on all different types of people. And it's no longer experimental. It's absolutely a law in my life right now. And then I see everything else through that. I have no choice, because that's the truest thing that I can say, about my life. Just like certain health things. I know, if I, drink way too much Coke, or like I said, on an empty stomach, or around the time that people are getting sick in a public environment, it's very likely that, I'm going to get sick. And if I keep doing it week after week and just keep eating junk food, I'm going to get sick. It's just a law. It's just a matter of time. And the extent of the sickness will just depend on how much I've abused my body during that time. And so it's tested, that's what I'm trying to say. It's the same thing with this fact And I've tested it even with religious people. And then that to me is like the quote cream of the crop, that if it works in that arena, then it's going to work everywhere, because non-religious people would be less inclined, And so I'm not saying they're good or bad people. It's becoming very, very clear there's good and bad people everywhere, in all different buckets that we arbitrarily assign them. And so I'm not making that kind of a statement, but it's been tested, on a very, very diverse sample, a broad sample, and that's very important in statistics and experimentation. And so that's the world. I have no choice. I wish I didn't have that. I would say it would make everything much easier. Again, I'm not trying to get pity, but that's what makes my existence currently right now very difficult, because that is unalterable. That will not change, because again, like I said, I've proven that to be true. And so everything I see is through that lens, and including the Bible and including the ball earth, flat earth debate. So people, are putting different comments on my channel, and I already know that they are in that group that will deny a reality, just talking about, the evils of the government and all that kind of stuff. So to me, there's like three groups of people. There's like people that are pro-government. There are people that are neutral to like it could be slightly improved. And then there's people like me who are like, it's completely evil. And so if a person is not at least in the it can be improved camp, they don't even exist in my mind. Like, they're just not even a human. Like, to me, they're literally a beast. They're just an actor, really ultimately what they are. And so, and that's a lot of people is what I'm realizing. And that's those people, if I can sense, if I'm not asking explicitly, but if they are, on the comment board, or I interact with them, somehow through my life, like, they don't even exist in my mind. I don't care if they're in my family or who they are. They just are not real to me. And I don't take any of their other opinions seriously, even if they may potentially be correct. They're just dismissed. And so, again, this is just the way, my brain works. And this is obvious. This should be obvious to anybody that, we would not take somebody seriously who denies other obvious realities. And so, or at least questions them. And so, I think that now that is truer to me personally than the Bible. And and I'm not saying this to like, reduce a person's faith in any way. I want to actually amplify it, increase it. But it makes turning to the Bible somewhat difficult, because that reality is in front of me. And that's just, again, like I said, very, very obvious. And doesn't look like it's going to change. And so now I'm looking for something that's a higher truth than that. But the problem is that truth affects every aspect of my life. Like, I cannot interact with anybody really. Very, very few people, very, 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 very few people who will even question and then go to the extent that I am. And I know that the governments are evil. And so there's nothing really actually to even discuss, and I think that that's the difficulty for me, at least in the phase right now. A person who's interested certainly in the Bible as being the narrative for our existence, but it's got a huge competitor in this reality that many people will not speak out against, the government in any way, clear way, specific way, and stuff like that. And so, that's what I would say is challenging for being somebody in my position who's like definitely throughout my life actively looking for a narrative. But the problem is the Bible is losing, currently in terms of like what is the most true. And so obviously the entire Bible is not true. I want people to understand that. In this moment, no person, unless they are the Heavenly Father, can say that the Bible is true. Not even Jesus Christ, because he does not know the timing of the end times. And so that's how humble he is. And that's how humble we should all be, because the Bible requires faith to know that the end of it will manifest. And if people think that the end is already manifested, they're just Satanists. They're just lost. There's no way anybody could make that kind of a statement with a straight face. They're just actors. I'm not even saying they're good or bad people. They're obviously like evil in terms of their theology, but I'm not saying they're necessarily doing evil to other people. But that's insane, to believe that that all aspects have been fulfilled, and it can't, because the kingdom of heaven is to be established here on earth. And so nobody, not even a staunch atheist, would say that the world is in a heavenly state right now. So the Bible is not true yet, because there's still the ending that needs to manifest. And then that requires faith, for all of us to believe that it is true, and what Jesus said is true, is indeed true, and will happen, and all that kind of stuff. And again, we have a lot of reason to believe it, for sure. I'm not saying that or doubting that in any way, but I'm kind of rambling, but I'm also just want people to know that it is challenging, to be a Bible person now, because what reading the Bible and studying it and understanding it will compete with the current reality that many of us have who are in the truth and in these, quote, deeper truths. Like, what will the Bible inform us of beyond this reality, which affects 360 degrees of our life? There's not much, and I'm not saying this again to dilute the amazing value, of understanding the Bible. There's obviously a lot there, but none of that will change this current truth that is in front of me and in front of, I hope, a lot of people, but it doesn't look like there's that many, but it won't alter this path. And so the only thing that it can do is narrate it, at best. And so that's what I think is happening, for sure, if anybody knows my channel. And so I firmly believe that. But, again, like, the Bible has a huge competitor in this reality where many, many people are speaking out, not allowed to speak out against the government. I'm talking about in the truth community as well. And so, to me, if all of this is not leading towards, the mark of the beast or that narrative that the Bible sets, we're just in some kind of very, very strange simulated sort of reality, because there is very much a narrative happening, and it's evil, and it looks like it's just running its course, and it just doesn't have an end goal necessarily that we know of, that's documented. And so I would say it gives a lot of credit to people who are sort of pushing that sort of simulation narrative, if the mark of the beast is not, made mandatory, for everybody worldwide, then we are in something like that. And then, this quote reality that, I'm in is just on a path to just, complete. And it doesn't really have like a specific purpose. It's evil, but it just is marching onwards. And that type of thing, which to me, again, for people who go down that road, that would be hard to believe that that's the case, that, this many people would not speak out against the government when they themselves are being oppressed, and that's like, I'm not talking to like Bill Gates, when I'm asking people about things about the government. I'm talking like just everyday normal people. Everybody doesn't like their job that I've talked to recently. Like, there's something about it. They just have left. They're just stressed. They don't know why it's like the way it is and all that. And just all the structures in place are just designed to make everybody hate their job. The whole process of getting a job is crazy and stuff like that. So the entire system is just completely flawed at best. And so I'm talking to those kind of people, and they still don't want to speak out against government. And then once that a person does, even once, they'll get sort of blackballed and like labeled as like, oh, like you just committed some massive crime, against humanity or stuff like that. So that's the repercussions, for those people. And we all know it. And so that's why people don't speak out against it. And so again, that would seem very, very strange to me that would not be for a specific reason from the God who created, this earth and all that. So, again, I'm not trying to like, dilute people's faith, but I want people to know that and take comfort that this reality that's in front of us of people that are just basically zombies is the most supreme truth on earth right now, because that is the one that is literally true. And anybody can go and test out, just go to groups of people, go online, ask questions, message people on LinkedIn, talk to them about, different experiences in the corporate world, and ask them about fractional reserve banking, ask them about these wars that are going on. Why are they happening? Why do these politicians all seem like actors? What's climate change? Like, they obviously don't care about climate change. Why is that in the news? Just why is there all this like stuff that doesn't make any sense happening? Why do people on the other side of flat earth hate Americans so much that they're keep jawboning us that they're going to burn us up before Christmas time and stuff like that. Like, why is that? You know, and then you'll just get crickets. And then that's a good thing, because then to me, that is useful information to like bake into a person's worldview. And then a normal person would then use that information to like figure out, hey, like, why is this happening? You know, why are there this many people who are refusing to talk about, you know, topics X, Y, and Z that are just plainly obvious, you know? And even just like a bit more tongue in cheek, but like still very serious. Like, go up to any person and ask them if they think these buildings are moving. Do they think the ground beneath their feet is actually moving? You're going to get even deeper blank stares and stuff like that. So that you don't even need to go to that, in my opinion, to prove what I just said, that a vast number of people, even in the truth community, will not speak out against the government in any specific way. They will still shill for this place. And I'm talking about even, quote, people high up in the truth, like the Pastor Andersons, the Hebrews, and all that kind of stuff. They'll talk about how evil this place is and all that kind of stuff, but they'll still march forward, you know, like they'll still, you know, do everything that, you know, is required to stay alive here and do what they got to do to live, and all hustle, you know, and just cut corners and all that kind of stuff. So I'm talking about, I want people to be clear that I've tested this even in the truth community and in the, quote, higher up in the truth community. And so it's a fact. It's ironclad. It's tried, tested, and true. Go test it yourself. You'll get the exact same results. And it'll be surprising, you know, for sure. The very sort of obvious things that people are not willing to talk about. And so to me, the Bible currently right now is technically losing, because that truth is obvious and prevalent worldwide. But, you know, it's it doesn't look like it would take much for the Bible to utilize that, you know. And I think that, again, for anybody who is into the Bible knows that that would be required for the mark of the beast to ever be successful, the foundation of it. And so to me, this one last push, which I believe will happen soon, is God using this ecosystem to benefit him in the mark of the beast advancement, you know, and success with zombies worldwide. You know, it would not work if it was just a minority of people, you know, worldwide who would be dumb enough to take that. It just wouldn't be big enough to even be in the Bible. It wouldn't be that big of a deal, really, if it was just kind of peppered throughout the world. You know, a few people here and there were just experimenting with it in their basement, or just the one nerdy IT guy in the whole company is just, yeah, whatever, I got a chip, you know, and then everybody else is like, yeah, whatever, no one cares. That wouldn't be fitting for the Bible, you know, in the mark of the beast, where it says all people, you know, rich and poor. It's going to be successful, you know, for a large group of people. And so, you know, but you know, for those out there, obviously keep staying in the Bible. But I'm just being completely honest that it's difficult for me to really read the Bible, because it's only now for me this reality that I know is true against the mark of the beast. It's only there's only two things, and one of them's going to win. Either this reality just continues going on and the mark of the beast is never implemented or forced, and this thing just keeps going on, or it does at some point, and I would say relatively soon. So there's no real other thing to really think about, you know, in my opinion. There's nothing I can do using the Bible that will change my current reality, and or anybody else's, you know. And I'm not saying this to be a downer. It's just true, you know. Like, there's nothing I can say. I can't, you know, pray the mark of the beast to not happen. I can't pray, you know, me or other people, you know, get roles, jobs that they actually enjoy and are not evil and filled with politics and nonsense, because this system is a beast system. So it has to be beastly. You know, it has to really be useless for human life. And I mean life in the biblical sense, you know, which involves, you know, healthy food, healthy body, spirituality, all that kind of stuff. So it has to be opposite of that. And so I can't pray that out of existence. And so, you know, we just have to march on. You know, I think it's just a wait and see. I would just say for people out there, for me personally, I'm not waiting that long. You know, I find this system completely stupid. Even if there was no Bible, I would not be a part of this system, even if the Bible didn't exist. And it's not a moral thing. It's just my physiology. I can't go to a place where I'm required to be stupid, lie, act, pretend like I care. I just can't, you know. And I'm thankful that I'm wired that way, as much as it's difficult to fit in. I don't want to fit in, under the criteria of the system right now. I don't care. If it costs me my life, that's totally fine, because I don't have a life sitting in a place that's like requires me to just be an actor, and pretend like I care. So that's not a life for me. And so I would just say for people out there, don't, entertain the system. Don't take it too seriously. Don't take it seriously at all, because it's liable then to like pull you in some way. But to me, again, this competition that's happening between this reality that I just explained, that it's true, 100% true, fact, and the Bible, which is to me the mark of the beast, which is still not true yet. It's very much there, bubbling, but it's not true yet because it hasn't manifested. And so the Bible's not true yet. And so the Bible has pretty big competition, but I have a feeling that the God of the Bible is using its competition, its quote competition, as an asset, as the foundation for the final vast amount of evil that God is going to allow on the earth. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.